Hello all. The topic under discussion today is raising the legal age of marriage for women. Recently, by amending the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006 and other personal laws, the Union Cabinet had cleared a proposal wherein the marriage age for women will be raised from 18 to 21 years, and this decision was based on the recommendation of a four-member task force led by Jaya Jaitley. Not a long time back, the State Bank of India had published a report titled Increasing the Legal Age of Women's Marriage, a Dominant Strategy for Societal Good, Financially Empowering Women. Now, this report says, the report's proposal says that if the legal age of marriage for women is raised from 18 to 21, a lot of economic and social gains will be accrued for India. Basically, it counts the benefits that will arise because of the fact that the marriage age for women has been raised from 18 to 21. There are various benefits such as low maternal deaths and improvement in the nutrition level. There will be a greater opportunity for girls to pursue higher education, which will increase their employability chances and also make them financially independent in the long term. We now come to the question as to why is there a need to raise the marriageable age of women? There are various needs, and let us specify a few. The first thing is that girls are in fact married at a very tender age of 11, 12, 15, etc., wherein they don't have proper education, they don't have a career, due to which they are not able to make decisions for themselves or their families. And it also, somewhere down the line affects their health. It has a lot of health implications. There is one major reason as to why we need to raise the marriageable age of women. The second thing is that, India is a country wherein we have surplus labor and capital, and it is necessary that we make use of every amount of labor and capital that is available in our country to foster economic development. When we say labor, it also includes the women in our society. Now, if we are to look at the statistics, the participation of women in the labor force is only 25%, whereas the global average is 60%. Now, if we are to foster economic development on a rapid basis in our economy, we have to make sure that every woman is part of the labor economy, and also we cannot afford women to be out of service. Now, another major reason is that there is a need to bring in gender neutrality in our society. There is a need to reduce the risk of early pregnancy among women, because early pregnancy is associated with increased child mortality rates. Then there's increased effect on the health of the mother because she is young. Though she has reached a reproductive age, her body is basically, not ready to nurture a child. Therefore, it has a lot of health implications, adverse health effects on the health of the mother. So it is necessary that we raise the marriageable age of women so that she becomes ready to nurture a child. And also because of the fact that when the marriageable age of women is increased, there is a possibility of her there's a higher possibility that she can pursue higher education, which will increase her employability chances and also lead to financial independence in the long term, which will in turn give her a lot of power in the domestic sphere as well. There are various studies that have been published with respect to the link between the age of marriage and nutrition. And to name a few, there was a study conducted by the International Food Policy Research Institute in 2019, which showed that the children born to young mothers there's a higher chance of them being stunted, of being, less in weight, not healthy basically. And the statistics show that, the children born to adolescent mothers, that is between the age of 10 to 19, are, 5 percentage points more likely to be stunted. Stunted means shorter for their age, than those born to young adults, and 11 percentage points more stunted than children born to adult mothers, basically 25 years or older. Then children born to adolescent mothers also had 10 percentage points higher prevalence of low weight as adult mothers. The study also highlighted many other factors, because when a woman is educated, she is aware as to how a child has to be brought up, what is the child to be given in a specific age, so that the child can grow healthy into a healthy individual. But when women are not educated, or lower education among teenage mothers and their poor economic status also have very strong, therefore also has very strong links with a child's height and weight measurements. And therefore it is recommended that increasing age at first marriage, age at first birth, and girls education are a promising approach to improve maternal and child nutrition. We now move on to discuss what are the consequences of early marriage. Okay, because of the fact that girls are married off at a very tender age, they are, usually segregated from their family, friends. They have not had enough opportunity to pursue education, and therefore, as a result, they don't have that decision making ability. They don't know if they are yet mentally and physically prepared to be a mother, because they are not aware of it. And all of these leads to adolescent mothers giving birth to premature babies or low weight babies, and this also leads to higher incidences of early maternal and infant deaths. Okay, and statistics show that the states wherein child marriage is highly prevalent, it is in those states that the infant mortality rates are higher than the national average. And also because of the fact that girls are not aware of how to move on with a married life, and because of the lack of protection, because of their unawareness, there are often incidences of girls getting sexually transmitted diseases like HIV, AIDS, and are often exposed to serious health risks, early pregnancy, etc. Now girls also often face situations of domestic violence and abuse, commercial sexual abuse, etc. And also girls are forced to take up roles for which they aren't mentally prepared, which eventually leads to mental health problems such as anxiety, depression, isolation, etc. So these are some of the consequences of early marriage. So far, we discussed why is there a need to raise the legal age of marriage for women. Then we looked into various reports and studies which suggested, how early marriage adversely affects the health of women and the child born to her. Now we shall look into the arguments against increasing the minimum age of marriage for women. Now, Article 21 of the Indian Constitution states the fundamental right, which is the right to life and liberty, and within that right is enclosed the right to marry. Now, when the government raises the legal age of marriage for women from 18 to 21, that is basically imposing a restriction on the fundamental freedom. Therefore, that is one major argument against raising the legal age of marriage for women. And secondly, the state or the government basically cannot simply expect that the societal phenomenon of early marriage can be magically fixed by just raising the legal age of marriage for women from 18 to 21 and then just move away from its responsibility. The state has to take deliberate measures to actually stop this taboo, which is child marriage, which is happening in our society. Now, the third major argument against raising the minimum age is that now the government can blame people from lower socio-economic backgrounds for early marriage. The state will now move away from its responsibility of being accountable for the poor state of education in our country, the poor quality of elementary education in our country, the lack of access to maternal clinics and healthcare in rural areas. So basically it is all the responsibility of the state to provide proper education, proper health facility to the people in our society. But now when they raise the legal age of marriage, they are basically trying to deflect away from being held accountable for all these activities. And another recommendation which came out was given by the Law Commission in 2008 states that if we are to make the legal age of marriage for women equal to men, why don't we bring the legal age of marriage for men from 21 to 18? Why don't we bring down the age of legal marriage for men from 21 to 18. So that would have been a far more pragmatic and equitable change. That is what the Law Commission had said. So if the legal age of marriage for women was raised from 18 to 21 to ensure gender parity, rather than increasing the age of women, marriage age for women, it would have been more better to reduce or bring down the marriage age of men from 21 to 18. That is another argument which is given against increasing the legal age of marriage for women. Another major argument which has come against this proposal is that, a law is good only to the extent to which it is implemented. Though we have had a Prohibition of Child Marriage Act and the current age limit of 18 years in place, we have had many instances across the country wherein child marriages have been conducted. So, just by raising the age limit from 18 to 21, it cannot be assured that such incidents will not happen further. So it is necessary that it be implemented very well, so that the instances of child marriages in our country would be reduced to a considerable level, or even be prevented, so that no such instances of child marriage happen. Now, the new law also is sometimes in the future may prove harmful to the tribal communities in our country, because India is a land with rich diversity, cultural diversity, and there are some current practices which are performed by the already marginalized communities, and when we bring in legislation, that could further jeopardize the freedom of the marginalized communities, and the current practices that they follow can be criminalized, may get criminalized as a result due to some legislations that we are bringing in. Another argument which has come out is that, everybody is not born into an ideal home or ideal society with the same amount of security and wealth, and therefore when the state takes a decision as to raise the age of marriage for women from 18 to 21, though they say that it is in the best possible interest of the society, it need not be the case always, because like I said, everybody is not born into that ideal home or ideal society with the required amount of wealth and security. Therefore, it cannot be always said that what the state decides for the society as a whole is not necessarily always good for the society as a whole. Almost half of the Indian population is constituted by women, and therefore it is very necessary that, in order to make sustainable progress, we empower the women population of our country as well. And if we are to empower the women population of our country, it is important that we impart the necessary education and skill development, so that women in the long term can be economically independent, financially empowered, socially empowered, and empowered in every sphere, so that she has the decision making ability as well. And therefore, when children are pressurized to get married at a tender age, it will lead to early pregnancy, and early pregnancy is associated with increased child mortality rates and maternal mortality rates, and therefore there's a need to focus on mother's health, not just physically but also mentally, her readiness to nurture a child. And therefore the government needs to emphasize upon economic and social empowerment of women and girls, like I said, and also targeted social and behavior change communication campaigns. And therefore increasing the minimum age of marriage of women will lead to gender neutrality. I hope you found the content of this session valuable. If you like the content, kindly do not forget to like, share, subscribe and comment. Thank you.